Now, we need to discuss the possibility that there is more than one killer. Either that or Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham gave us a poorly laid out movie. When we see Anne get killed, the hands are very much masculine, and the glimpses of clothing don't match what we see Mrs. Voorhees wear when she arrives. Later on, when Ned sees someone go into a cabin at the camp, they're wearing different clothes from the figure who killed Annie, and different from Mrs. Voorhees. So we're shown the possibility that there are likely 3 killers, but I'm going to say there's at least 2. Now, this whole time we're led to believe that Steve Christie might be the killer. Anne is lured into a Jeep that is similar looking to his. The killer is masculine, but 15 minutes in the film, we see that Steve is not the killer since he's at a diner some 25 miles from the camp. Steve is greeted at the entrance to the camp by someone he recognizes, that being Mrs. Voorhees, and this is the only kill in the present time I would positively attribute to her. When we go back to camp, we see Brenda's body is thrown through a kitchen window. There is no way you can convince me Mrs. Voorhees threw her body through the kitchen window, ran to her Jeep, which was probably at least a good 200, 300 feet away, climbed in, drove near the cabin for Alice to see her, and come out of the Jeep not physically exhausted for running at her age. And that doesn't even account for the fact that the film expects us to accept Mrs. Voorhees as the killer, despite her not being introduced to the viewers until the last 20 minutes of the film. If you're going to do a murder mystery, you have to show us all the suspects at the start so the audience can try to figure out who might be the killer. All I can think of is Truman Capote as Lionel Twain from the criminally underrated comedy Murder by Death. Don't worry, you can expect a whole episode of underrated and overlooked comedies in the future, and Murder by Death will be prominently featured. But there is a monologue by Capote as Twain that perfectly describes the crime this film is guilty of. You've tortured us all with surprise endings that made no sense. You've introduced characters in the last 5 pages that were never in the book before. You've withheld clues and information that made it impossible for us to guess who did it. It's frustrating for this film to make so many continuity mistakes and fail so miserably at a murder mystery formula that has been perfected for decades. Yet this film is heralded as a classic.